Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Embodied by Mac. My name is Michaela. I'm an evolutionary and predictive astrologer, and today we're here for your February 2026 horoscopes. This is a rocking and rolling month because we start off the month with a very dramatic full moon in Leo, and then we have Saturn moving into Aries, which is initiating a 3-year cycle. Saturn's going to conjunct Neptune at 0 degrees Aries, which is a cycle we have never experienced before in our lifetimes. That's a total reset in a certain part of your life. And we also have a new eclipse season starting in the Aquarius Leo axis. So, eclipse seasons tend to be pretty intense and can accelerate things in our life and feel like we're being forwarded back onto our path or redirected onto our path. And it's really where time collapses, karmic situations kind of fall into place and we get redirected and pushed along further in our journey for growth, for evolution, to meet your aspirations, to meet your goals, your manifestations, what have you. But eclipses can be intense emotional periods. So we're going to talk about that definitely. And then towards the end of the month, we are in the middle to the end of the month, we are in a Mercury retrograde period. So, first Mercury retrograde of 2026. So, there's just a few things I want to touch on for each of the astrological signs for this month. I think that's pretty much enough to get covered. And at the end, if you feel like you want a reading with me, then you can go to embodiedbymac.com. You can book a reading right through there, or you can connect with me on any of my social media on Instagram, TikTok, or here on YouTube. You can find my email, send me a letter, and let me know if I can help you. And if you want a reading to navigate the next 6 months ahead for us in 2026. Okay, so make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and get ready for your horoscope. Hi, Scorpio and Scorpio rising. So, this is your horoscope for February of 2026. We begin the month with a full moon in your 10th house. So, this is all about an illumination and a culmination of your public sphere and your public recognition, okay, and your visibility. This might be a time where you kind of have this illumination, like you get more publicly seen. There's more visibility, whether it's known for your work or you in your family sector or with other people and people your close relationship with in your life. There's some sort of illumination and also integration of your special purpose and how you show up in this sector. Okay. This can also be an emotional clarity around the direction of where you want to take your work life to go, or even the direction of your overall career life too. Sometimes your career and our work can be like two different things, and this could be emotional clarity around following the true meaning and the direction when it comes to your creative purpose and your sense of meaning and to a career direction instead. So some people this can be the beginning, the emotional spark where you're going to make some changes in this career sector, or at least how you're publicly seen and known in this career sector of your life. This could also be a desire to be seen for your talents and your gifts, and also your sense of leadership and like what you're good at. So this could also be an illumination and a spotlight on your reputation, okay, and how you're showing up as well. Some things that manifestations that can come through is like these milestones or these endings happening. I could definitely resonate because I use porphyry systems. So a lot of this stuff actually falls in my 10th house, even though I'm a Libra rising, whatever, it doesn't matter. Um, this can be a milestone or like an ending or a kind of breakthrough happening when it comes to your professional roles or your career direction. Okay. You might be realizing that some things no longer fit for you, or they no longer bring you joy or fulfillment or happiness. And so you're deciding to, have this breakthrough energy and now bring that into a new direction or something that feels more like a meaningful calling for you. Okay. Since you have a 10th house Leo. Um, Moving on, that will be a lot of emotional clarity when it comes into that sector of your life and that direction of your life. You have a massive new transit happening with Saturn and Neptune, initiating a new cycle at 0 degrees of Aries. You can see this down here in your sixth house of your chart. Okay. So Saturn is initiating a new 3-year cycle in your sixth house, and Neptune is initiating a new 14-year cycle. Okay. Saturn here in your sixth is really asking you to restructure and redefine long-term habits that are daily rituals. Okay. So this is definitely a focus on your routine, on your health. Okay. What you decide to eat, what time you wake up in the morning, how much sleep you're getting, taking care of your pets. Your pets fall under this umbrella. Okay. What is their routine like? How does that affect you? Developing a stronger boundary and a threshold to not compromising or sacrificing yourself when it comes to your health and routine. Okay. And this can definitely be in relationship to like work, because work is becomes a part of the sixth house just because it's something that we show up and do for the most of us every day. So what is your relationship between like work and do you need to have better boundaries with it? Do you need to shed off some responsibilities, or do you need to take on more responsibilities? Okay. These are themes that are showing up for you in your day-to-day life and your day-to-day habits. And, they can be initiations into new beginnings because it's Aries, but ultimately Saturn here is trying to make your life more structured and more healthy for the long term. Okay. You would have had a preview of this energy between May 24th of 2025 to September 1st of 2025. Okay, this would have given you a preview of what Saturn in your sixth house looks like. And now you have this energy until the end of 2028. Okay, so it's a couple year cycle where you're going to get to have clarity around things that bring you basically chaos in your day-to-day life, and then things that don't. I need to change this background because it's meant to be on the fireplace and it's bothering me that it's not on the fireplace. Um, At the same time, you've got Neptune moving into your sixth house in Aries with this energy. And see, these are they're polarizing energies archetypically, right? Neptune is all about like being of service and having compassion, and it often blurs boundaries and blurs clarity around things. And so there is this need to see where Neptune's showing you where you're kind of leaking your energy and draining yourself, where you're not being really of service to yourself, where you might be over sacrificial for the needs of others or responsibilities for others, and bring you more clarity into like, okay, this is healthy for you, and this is more of what's in alignment for you. And then the healthier boundaries that you can make with compassion for yourself in your day-to-day life, then you're able to hold on more responsibilities and be more of service to other people because you're caretaking yourself first, right? And so really the astrology is here to service you first, so then you can be of service to other people. So you might be committing to new health routines and new structures during this time frame. You would have had a preview of Neptune in your sixth house from March 30th to October 22nd of 2025. So if you want to think back to that, that would have given you a preview of Neptune in your sixth house as well. And you're going to have Neptune now in your sixth house until May 22nd of 2038. So there's going to be plenty of time to navigate this, but I do want you guys, you Scorpios and Scorpio risings, to recognize that um, spiritual practices, ritualistic practices are going to be very important for you to incorporate into your day-to-day life, okay? And make sure that you're navigating, feeling the tension between like ideal routines and like what you really would love to manifest, and then what is reality, what's needed of you, and trying to bridge the two together, okay? This is definitely going to be a time period where you're having to like reorganize a lot of your responsibilities and work processes in life. And honestly, this leads me beautifully into the eclipse that's happening in your fourth house, because this is definitely, I think, going to be aligned for many of you Scorpios and Scorpio risings. because the new set of eclipses are going to begin in your fourth house. Okay, we have a new moon eclipse that is happening in Aquarius on February 17th. Now, new moon eclipses in general are very fated events. Okay, it's basically when time is collapsing and fate overrides free will and comes in and reroutes a human on their path, right? So if you're way off your path for your dharma, the eclipse is going to come in and help you realign. If you're a little bit off your path, the eclipse is still going to come in and help you realign, but it won't be so crazy, right? You're kind of just going to not control things during eclipse season and let things happen as they will because they are very chaotic energy, and this one is in Aquarius, so it can be very disruptive. Okay, it changes things for the long haul. Okay, and that can kind of be hard for Scorpios and Scorpio risings because we do like our fixity, right? We don't really like change too much unless it's under our own thumb. But these sets of eclipses are promising some shifts for you. And so you're going to have this new set of eclipses in Aquarius and Leo until January of 2028. Okay. And so it begins, honeys, it begins during this process. Okay. And this is happening in your fourth house. So this means that there's over the next few years, while these eclipses begin, for many of you, there's going to be major new beginnings around your home and your family life, right? And that's going to include who is in your family, who's not in your family anymore, your living situation, where do you live, what country do you live in, right? Are you moving homes? Are you moving towns? Are you moving country? You know, where do you feel like a sense of belonging and connection? These things are going to be coming up for you. You're also going to have a lot of emotional breakthroughs, emotional and psychological breakthroughs around family dynamics and how you feel about family and your sense of belonging and who's in your family and what does family look like, right? Um, and those kind of things that, you know, you might be geared more towards friendships. It's Aquarius fourth house, friends become family, okay? This really begins a new chapter in your sense of belonging and your place of foundation, and you letting go seriously about emotional attachments to things that aren't serving you anymore so that you can plant yourself into new emotional foundations. But anything that happens at the bottom of the chart, like it is for you in the fourth house, really brings in a new beginning, an emotional foundation, but also restructures like the rest of the life, right? The rest of the anchoring of the life. So whatever happens in your private life, I'm sorry, my dog's barking. Whatever happens in your private life starts to affect your overall direction of your life, right? So if you're changing homes or country, of course, you're going to have these changes happen in your exterior, in your public life, right? In your public sector, in your reputation. So this eclipse is definitely tied to that full moon that happened at the beginning of the month, right? You're going to start to see these themes begin to take effect during this eclipse season. And then we're going to round out the end of the month with February 22nd when we begin Mercury retrograde period in your fifth house of your chart. Now, Mercury retrograde begins on this day, but I will tell you that you want to pay attention to the themes that begin actually February 11th when Mercury goes into its retrograde shadow. This is when you're going to start to hear back because it's in your fifth house from old romantic partners and lovers. Now, you might be in a relationship now, you might not be, right? But for the most of you guys, you're gonna hear back from some old flames, old romantic situations, and maybe, you know, if you're single, you're opening that up again for healing or for renewal, or maybe a second chance or a second turnaround. Or maybe you're exploring the intimacy in a new way. Or maybe, you know, the communication is a little foggy and it's a short-term fling and a short-term thing and it doesn't really last the whole retrograde period, but at least there is some healing and there's some openness for communication to come in that would allow some karmic things to come to a closure, come to an end, right? So this could also not just be reconnecting with past flames or romantic connections, if you will, but also about old creative ideas, maybe things that once you were, very passionate about and loved to do, and they come back in, right? They come back in for renewal or revival or reflection of some sort. Mercury retrograde, anything to do with reevaluation, relook, revise, repeat, redo. That's Mercury retrograde's sector, and this is in your fifth house. So this could also be rediscovering ways that of things that bring you joy, that bring you a sense of play, that bring you closer connected to your creativity, that kind of like spark up something that feels more inspiring or more fun, more passionate. And that's really important because your inner world is going through such profound change now with the eclipses. Sparking up your fourth house, and also your daily life can seem a little bit mundane with Saturn there, right? So to have a little spiciness and a little bit of play, or something that brings you back to creative or romantic or pleasurable interests would be a good thing for you, right? So it's just about learning to, I guess, navigate through the fog and trust your intuition when these dynamics will come up, because they will come up for you during this retrograde period. Again, don't make any definite choices, I would say, until the retrograde period is over, which is going to be on March 20th of 2025. Okay, so use this time for revisiting things and revising things and reflection and relooking. So, Scorpios, that is your month of February. I hope that was helpful. Please don't forget to give me a like and subscribe, and I will check you on the flip side.